Meetha. I'm a consulting journalist with Outlook Money. Good afternoon, everyone, and a very happy International Women's Day. The theme for today's discussion is health and wellness, women as agents of change. Undoubtedly, there is a growing interest and awareness of health and wellness among the women entrepreneurs as well as women working professionals. On the event of International Women's Day, Onsurity has partnered with Dun Bradstreet to capture the underlying shift with women as change agents. As a journalist for over a decade, I have myself observed how women are actually leading the change in different domains, including health and wellness. This session shall bring out a holistic perspective on how women are leading the change. Today, we would be discussing the importance of health and wellness for women, the culture of healthcare in an organization, the trends in the changing needs of women from the product and service providers, work-life balance, which is a medicine for better health and productivity, and issue of gender stereotype that prevent women from voicing out their health problems. Here are our speakers for today. Let me introduce our first speaker is Shaileja Saraswati. Shaileja is the Chief Content Officer at Omnicom Media Group. Shaileja, request you to please introduce yourself further.
Hi everyone, it's a privilege to be part of this forum and share this space with the co-panelists. I am Shailja Saraswati. Currently, I'm a Chief Content Officer with Omnicom Media Group. I am leading the content practice for both OMD and PhD, creating amazing stories across verticals for our brands and accounts. I've been in the industry for 20 years and I have worked with esteemed companies like C5, Fox Studios, Star and Discovery. I've also worked outside India in Asian markets and also in UK. Along with my passion for content, parallelly, I also have passion for mindfulness. I'm also a mindfulness trainer for last 10 years. And I have taught people mind management techniques in Asia, UK and India. And I'm really looking forward to a very interesting conversation here. Thank you.
Thanks, Shaileja. Our next speaker is Meetha Jadhav. Smitha is the co-producer and co-founder of Woot Factor, a full-service events and marketing agency. Smitha, request you to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks, Meghna. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, super. So I'm not going to take too much time. I'm just going to tell you a little about who Woot Factor is and what Woot Factor does. We as such specialize in creating and delivering the finest event experiences for brands and organizations for over 12 years now. We cater to various verticals like sports, entertainment, and engagement. We also believe in crafting simple, insightful, and creative experiential solutions. That's a little about Woot Factor. Thank you.
Right. Thanks, Smita. Our third speaker is Preksha Kaparwan. Preksha is the co-founder and CMO of Alphaa.AI that enables enterprises to transform into real data-driven organizations. Preksha, request you to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Meghna. Thank you for having me on this panel. Everyone on the panel, I'm looking forward to hear from. This is a little about me that I am a co-founder for a company called Alphaa.AI, and we have created world's only solution where you can ask questions on your data. It's an enterprise solution where AI actually works. And one thing that you might want to know about me is that I come from a non-technical background, and yet I am co-founding a company which is a AI-driven company. So women in our sector have tremendous opportunity. It's just that we do not know how to find them. I'm hoping that we'll discuss some of that today as well.
Thanks. Our next speaker is Colleen Shah. Colleen comes with over 12 years of startup experience in growth, product, and partnerships. And currently he has co-founded and he's the CEO of Onsurity, which is a leading employee health benefits brand. Over to you, Colleen.
First of all, to all the ladies out here and who are attending a very happy International Women's Day. Hi, I'm Colleen. I've spent the last 14 years in the startup ecosystem. I've worn multiple hats. I've been a VC, been an entrepreneur, been a part of many growth journeys of well-known startups, and now we are kind of solving India's SME problem of providing health benefits to their employees and families. And I would also like to make a small addition to our panel. That is, I have with me my colleague Asleen Kaur. We wanted even a woman to kind of represent Onsurity and give her view on the panel on some of the questions that we're going to be kind of discussing. So Asleen heads corporate communications for Onsurity, and I'll leave it to Asleen to introduce herself.
Thank you, Colleen, for inviting me for this panel discussion today. Hi, I'm Asleen Kaur, and I'm taking care of PR and corporate communications for Onsurity. Worked with multiple brands like Alibaba, Fortis, Zenga, and Satin Credit Care, Vortex Global Services. So here my role is to, of course, engage the audience. And today this panel discussion was for women, and that's why where Colleen said, why don't you take this baton, to talk about the women issues and the facilities that Onsurity has given me as being a woman in this company. So yeah, glad to participate here. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll begin with our question answer session now. Our first question, and this is common for all our speakers. As an employer, a decision maker, how do you build a true culture of healthcare for your teams? Shaileja, you could start.
I think it starts with your own self, because as a leader, people are watching, and they see you day in and out in terms of how you carry yourself, what is your daily routine, what are your breaking points, how resilient you are in certain situations. And if you have enough touch points in your life which basically walk the talk and bringing all the culture of healthcare, I think that starts with you. So the first step would be yourself as a leader, and second is to drive that agenda within your HR, and the senior management executive committee. If there are any new policies, any new initiatives an organization should initiate, I think that initiative should start with you. So it's you, and it's also you. It's basically you are responsible for the healthcare of yourself and the organization. So I think walking the talk is a must.
That's very well said. Thanks, Shaileja. Next, Meetha, if you could enlighten us.
Sure.
On this.
So we are an entertainment-based company, and we create experiences for our clients through these events. So we kind of bring the same culture to our office. How we do it is every quarter we focus on some of the other engagement activity which is related to health and fitness. Like the last quarter, we seen an Olympics at Woot Factor where everybody mandatorily had to participate. We were divided into teams, and the Olympics kind of went on for almost 2 months. We do simple things like drinking water challenge, and as an organization, we kind of drive that culture. In fact, we believe in making everything fun. So we have a very, very, very interesting concept in office called nap time. Yes, literally nap time. We actually allow employees to take like a 15 to 30 minutes nap anytime, however your work kind of permits. We've made a very nice zone where people can go and take naps. We believe that break leads to a fresher and a healthier mind. And obviously we've, apart from all of this, we've also taken healthcare benefits for our employees by partnering with Onsurity and extending the same to their families as well.
Oh, that's very interesting indeed. And also fun, of course. Next, Preksha, if you could tell us.
I'm going to take some notes from Smitha on this for the nap time. I think we have a startup, and everyone's scared of startup culture because they think there is no time to eat, no time to sleep, no time to come to office or leave, right? So this past couple of years, when we grew as leaders, founders, we realized that that's a bad culture. That's not just bad for us personally, but for the team. We are demotivating them. So I think one of the main focus that we had, that our employees need to be happy at all times. Like even if they have personal problems, even if something is, making them cranky, we ask them like, have a chat with someone or go take a walk or, whatever you need. If you want to take a day off, please go. If you have a dinner with girlfriend, please do that. So the idea is that we don't want to be following the same startup culture that a lot of companies unfortunately had to, because they did not have enough quality employees or enough people to help them out with their work. So even though it delayed us initially, we could not really manage it. But over time, we realized that the productivity was much, much, much better. So finally, we came last where we started implementing that to ourselves as well, that we have to eat, we have to leave office at a certain time, and do not call anyone over the weekends.
Thanks. Colleen and Asleen?
Right. I think, I think I'm fortunate to kind of have so many inputs coming in, so that we can actually not only implement some of them at Onsurity, but also, give these inputs to our, 1600 plus clients, right? Who can kind of, learn from, all of you guys out here. But some of the initiatives that we've taken, right? I think healthcare is a culture, right? And I think it needs to imbibe at the very core, right? Where it's just not another activity, right? And I think that is something that, we've been trying to kind of go ahead and, implement at Onsurity, saying that health is as important as work, right? Health is going to be, the key factor that will help us to drive value to our partner organizations, right? And hence in that light, obviously we have started, one, that there are two parts to this. One is obviously from a physical and mental well-being, and obviously the culture of health, even from a financial well-being also, right? So on the physical part of it, yes, we have recently started coming back to office. We spend at least 15 minutes in the evening, right, to re-energize ourselves, where a few of our team members, one of whom is who is a physical trainer, and another one is a physiotherapist. We actually help the teams to do these sessions in the evening, where we are kind of stretching ourselves and improving our ergonomic habits, right? So we keep doing these activities and these sessions from time to time. We've now kind of tied up with our partners to kind of provide mental wellness sessions to our team members. And last but not the least, we obviously, given we are an employee health benefits company, the journey starts right from home. So we've now recently implemented a health benefits plan, which not only covers ourselves, our spouse and children, but also our parents, and ensuring that even our siblings and in-laws can be covered through our app itself. So that's the kind of inclusiveness we want from all angles, and we're trying to build a 360-degree culture of health at Onsurity.
Colleen, can I just add to what you're saying, because it's so inspiring. We always say that look at health in times of adversity, but I think what you're building is a culture which basically stands on health. During the second wave, when the pandemic hit and second wave was really at its peak, so I saw a lot of organizations taking special initiatives right at that time. And if that is part of culture right from the beginning, right, you don't have to make it just a SOS situation. So very interesting.
Yeah, just adding into Colleen what he said, I think building a health as a culture is very important, of course, yes. But another thing very important is, there are organizations, they are taking, so for example, when we were working in Alibaba, they used to have a mandatory half an hour nap time, after lunch. So all these things we have, enjoyed a lot as an employee, frankly speaking. But when it comes to Onsurity, and I'm not boosting because I'm handling PR here, but then, what is important as a factor which I realize that it should be there in the organization, where it has to be, we have to improve the gender representation in the organization. I think that is where the culture built in terms of the health, that I have been taken care the way, the other guys in the office has been taken care, the equality in terms of the gender. So it is an actual mental well-being that I am being taken care, like, in terms of as an equal representing the gender, because what happens, are to female, I say to chhod do. Sometimes all these very simple silly marks, it actually leaves you a big mark. I think that's where the culture builds in, where there are women, they can't even speak about their health issues to men, right? So there is something happened in office, where do you discuss? So I think improving that women representation on the top leadership position is something which is very important to build that culture in the organization, to come forward and speak and give equal pay, equal salaries, equal platform to talk and raise your voice. I think that is something where the culture is also very important.
True.
Okay, our next question: how has the scenario changed with regards to the expectations of yourself and of your family towards the health benefits provided by your company? This is again for all our speakers. Shaileja, you could start.
During the pandemic, especially in the last 18 months, 24 months?
Right.
So I think, I see a lot of empathy towards the decisions being taken when it comes to healthcare. It was mostly a very functional hygiene must-have, benefit to an employee, right? But it's not the case anymore. There's a lot of heart in what we are doing for our employees after what we've gone through, lost lives, lost dear ones during the last 18 months. So the sense of involvement of how this is going to actually benefit the life of other human beings, I think that is a heightened awareness in as far as I see, in terms of when policies are being discussed, or what benefits we are getting from the organization, or what we are pushing towards the organization to give to our employees. But I see a lot of sense of openness of conversations, higher awareness, higher empathy, and a lot more inclusion in terms of like what the prior speaker was talking about, in terms of the gender biases are dissolving as far as inclusion of healthcare policies are concerned. So absolutely empathy would be high quotient.
Yes, empathy is always the it should be the high quotient. Okay, next, Meetha.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of expectations towards the benefits provided by the company, I think Colleen answered that that one point that kind of stayed with me. Traditionally, when we used to have healthcare policies, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was only allowed as a policy. If I would take a medical claim policy or a healthcare policy, it was only extended to probably a spouse or a child. But what Colleen spoke about, of having that entire inclusivity of adding not just your own parents but even your in-laws, right? Today as women, I think we say when you kind of get married, you have two mothers and you have two fathers, right? You have your in-laws as well. And I think it's brilliant that this was in fact one of the expectations, and which is answered. So that was going to be one of my pointers, but Colleen answered that there. And I think one of the prime expectations is when you have like a medical emergency is how quick the response is, right? I think that is what matters in terms of expectations from from any healthcare provider that you have. That's kind of my perspective on it.
Okay, thank you. Preksha?
Yeah, I think Shailja and Smitha covered the very important point of like how people have come together, and there's more empathy towards the employees, and there's more empathy towards your extended families as well. And as Colleen mentioned, that's something I did not think of, and I kind of missed it, because now my father just got retired last year, and I am no more covered in his medical insurance, and I don't have any, and I had to have a surgery just last month. And it was a lot of money, because as a startup founder, I'm literally getting peanuts. So I realized that was the first realization that I had, because thankfully I and my family was safe during COVID, but there were a lot of people close to me, my employees, their parents, families, who we extended help from our own pocket. As a startup, there's limited things that you can do. But then then finally when it came to me, I realized that okay, I need medical insurance. not just me. If I'm getting it for myself, I need it for my people as well, because I don't want them worried about it. Because if I am worried about how I'm going to spend 1.5 lakh rupees just like next week, obviously they're worried about that too. So that empathy, I'm saying that personally, even it's coming from them to us as well, from employees to us as well. They are being more considerate. They understand that, okay, if they stood for us, if we stood for them, they want to stand for us, and we have come closer as a community as well.
Right. Our next speaker, Colleen and Asleen.
So yes, it is very important, as Colleen rightly said, that I recently got married. It is very important that you have your in-laws. It is very important for a woman to give that. So when you work with an organization which also takes care of your family, I think just before the marriage, my mother-in-law was down with COVID. The way the organization has really taken care, we have a good doctor's team in-house. I think I'm married because of Dr. Mahesh right now, if I have to use his name. But that's how it is, because it is very important for an organization to really take care of their employees, not only just coming up with some kind of a marketing initiatives. I would rather say these days these benefits are more marketing than you're actually working towards it. But here what I have seen is it's very important that we have worked on it, and it's actually worked in terms of improving women coming to office. I think because if you see globally, during pandemic, I think somewhere around 11.9 million women, they have lost their job or they had to resign the job because they was burdened in terms of work and as well as household responsibilities. But when you have organizations who really take care of your understanding in terms of your dual responsibility, and especially being a woman, I think that's where women can do an extra edge in terms of meeting requirements. So I think that is somewhere which is very important. Then accessibility, which I spoke about. The another thing which is very important is the affordability. I think right now the healthcare is the health expenses have gone really high. So are we meeting the right expectations of our employees? I think that is something which is very important. So I think overall, these are the benefits which really help, organization and employees, and especially women, to actually opt for. So these days, women are actually looking for a job where they give, they're being given an access to doctors, or they're being given access to some physiotherapist or psychologist to talk about and share their issues. So I think it's a holistic way of looking when you join an organization. So I think that is something which is very important.
Colleen, please tell us.
Yeah, I think, to be very honest, I think it's about life cycle, right? At what life cycle am I as an individual, and at what life cycle is my family at, right? And I think that's the view that we always take at Onsurity, and even personally, right? For example, Preksha just mentioned that till now, she was covered under her parents' plan, right? But when her parents have now decided to enjoy the other side of the life, right? She was no longer covered, right? And hence all of us go through a very different life cycle, and these changes from time to time. And I think that's what I think we need to provide, and we need to expect from our organization, saying that how will my healthcare benefits be sustainable and be relevant throughout our life cycle, and at what stage we are at. And I think that is the way we should be expecting our healthcare, and not be under the myth that one size fits all, right? Just because a colleague of mine or a peer of mine has this, that means I also need it, right? Or someone else's company is giving something and hence I also need it. It's very, very contextual. And that's the way we should be building it, and that's the way we are building it. One company at a time.
Right. Okay, our next question. As a founder, how have you seen a trend in the changing needs of women from the product and health service providers? Preksha can answer first.
Sure. So as we all see that the concentration of women in workforce is increasing, and we have like higher percentage of women working with us than the male participants as of now. And it's happening in many companies. Female are being empowered, they are feeling more open, more comfortable, more mentally at peace to come and work at workplaces, being away from their home. Now, the only challenge is that the company sees men and women as people, like same kind of individuals, some kind of, so they are given similar kind of benefits as well. Now, women are someone who like people, who think people, who like to, they're empaths, they like to see that how people are feeling. But men inherently are developed in a way where they like things. They are more concerned about things. They are very, straight thinking. So women kind of get spent with their all emotional support and emotional, empathy that they stretch to others. So in a way, I think that service providers will have to look at how to help women feel that balance, that completeness, then that keep a mental health okay while they are dealing with things and people, because their role is changing as a nurturer to a businesswoman, to a leader.
Okay, thank you. Now, Smitha.
Yeah. So I believe that the health and the awareness and the exposure that we currently have has actually changed a lot of things. It's changed the way and the perspective we look at things in a very, very different way. Regular health checkups today, I think, has become a need of the hour. Thanks to the pandemic, I think people are becoming extremely conscious about their health. Heart attacks today have become one of the most common illnesses, right? People at 30, 35 are getting it. Because of this, I believe that there is a sudden increase in the entire awareness about being fit, right? So you will see suddenly an increase in the trend of practicing yoga, breathing, going back to basics, following Ayurveda, eating right. So focus on health, I think, is becoming a priority now. And when women health benefits are all inclusive with Onsurity as a provider, I believe that it's a one-stop shop. It becomes very easy to kind of access everything under one umbrella.
Right. Thanks, Colleen.
We've seen a sea change, post the pandemic in terms of the requirements, right? I think till now, healthcare was built in a very generic fashion, and we try to say that, okay, this is for all the employees, right? I think no one ever said that, hey, what would be the need for for someone who's single, someone who's married, right? Someone who's expecting a baby, right? Someone who's planning a baby, right? I think that way, now that segmentation has started happening now, and that's the kind of changes that we have seen and the kind of evolution that we are seeing now when it comes to the changing needs of women. I think women have been now no longer being just another part of someone's health policy, right? If you have seen traditionally, every time the woman plays so many roles at home, right, that sometimes she just misses out saying that, okay, fine, this thing, you take care of it, right? But in that, you get your needs are getting sidelined, right? No one is really looking after your needs today, right? And I think this is what the awareness is now really happening about, saying that, hey, different type of women have different type of needs, right? So right from the need of including IVF, right, because of our kind of the lifestyle that we live today, right? The necessity to say that, hey, you have 24/7 help while you are pregnant, because you can have a need whenever you need one, right? And not necessarily that you might not get the second opinion or the third opinion, right, when you really want it, right? So having that accessibility, right? A lot of women are saying that, hey, I also need to focus on my fitness, right? I also want to go to a gym. I'm no longer going to sit at home and, look at the TV and do some aerobics, right? Like, I think that is so 1970s and 80s. right? That I will sit at home because I'm scared of going out and seeing that, oh, you know what, people are going to look at me in a very different way. I think those are the kind of needs that are changing, right? I think today there is gender equality, right? No longer have, at least I have seen where, you know, people are saying these are women's timing and these are men's timing and these are general timing, right? I think all those lines are blurring, and that's because that the needs are being recognized. Women have been vocal about their needs, and companies have been recognizing that and saying, hey, if you need to be a change leader, right? You need to be the catalyst who's going to make a change out here, right? And that's the way we are seeing this whole, a new evolution in the need of women's healthcare change. And I think, companies like us, we need to kind of, create more awareness and take those best practices which are going to be made by leaders like you to the larger audience out there.
Thank you. That's very well explained. Next question.
I just want to say thanks to Colleen on this. Like, if you are thinking on this perspective, then I feel that, when I was thinking I need a medical insurance, I was comparing a lot of plans, and I was thinking, okay, this does not cover a smaller thing, because I wanted everything to be taken care, just to be mentally free of any kind of challenge. And you so rightly said that when you leave this decision to your male partner or some head of the family, someone in your family, you are essentially, women are so different, and we have so many more needs, and we take care of so many more things, in a way that we are supposed to. And our needs, small or big, they get sidelined because we are trying to take an umbrella for everyone, which can cover every generic thing that everyone else has. This really, I think, gives a perspective in how we need to be sure that what we want should be out there.
Just listening to all of you, it's also taking me to the fact that, how art is imitating real life, right? So if you see women role in OTT content or television or theater in movies, it's very different now, as lead role or the protagonist, whether it's Arya or Ravina Tandon's show, or what we saw, which has just come out right now, Fame Game. And this is a complete revolution happening. So what we are saying is actually it's a revolution in making. And I think what Onsurity is trying to do is also make it a very holistic case of healthcare, right? So it's not only about physical, which we've been talking about. It's mental, it's social, it's getting all aspects of a woman needs in. So yeah, very interesting. I'm just getting thoughts on storytelling just while listening to you guys. So
right. Okay. Our next question: how do you maintain work-life balance, which is, of course, a medicine for better health and productivity? Shaileja, if you could tell us.
Sure. See, when we talk about any balancing act, right, it requires a strong core and a foundation. I mean, just think about a building without any pillars, right? So first you'll dig in the earth. The building is going to stand on a pillar. So often we keep looking outwards in life, right? We look at things outside, people, situations, and our to-do list, but we ignore spending time in building that resilience and self-mastery and self-love. So what I'm trying to say is, in my opinion, this work-life balance is passé. It's not amount of work-life balance. It's basically how much connected you are to your core. And that core is all about the values and the resilience which you have, drilled in yourself, which will make you sail through adverse situations in life. And without a strong core, a restful mind, or tapping into your full potential, I think we will all be doing this juggling. We'll keep juggling these balls in the air of my personal needs, my professional needs, my community needs, social needs, my kids need my time. But I think the first thing is, how connected are you to your core, yourself? Have you invested enough time on self-mastery? Have you, spent enough time with yourself? Because again, because I'm also a mindfulness trainer, I just know that things start with yourself while we keep looking for, solves outside. And some of the mindful techniques which have helped me at least to, kind of balance this work-life balance is that I take out at least 90 minutes in the morning just for myself before anybody wakes up, whether it's about walking, exercising, yoga, reading, just collecting thoughts, being very clear, how do I see the day unrolling in front of me, or a bit of digital detox, just disconnecting from the gadgets sometime in the evening, before bedtime, or on weekends. And another way of doing this balance or connecting with yourself, which I'm talking about the core of yourself, is music therapy, which basically invigorates your right brain. It is a medicine which works beautifully. Learning a few breathing techniques would really help. Breath also releases a lot of toxins out of our body. There's a huge science backing it, but that session for some other day. And taking midday breaks, and what I heard about the napping sessions or having some unwind sessions at workplace, I think that is the culture is amazing. Hats off to the organizations who are allowing that, because most of the organization will feel very nervous suddenly, like, oh, okay, these guys are out of their work structure and doing something which will take that much time to bring them back, right, to work in a structure. But I think if you let the kite fly, right, if you let the mind relax, that mind will be able to focus that much more. So all for daily nap time. I'm going to go back to my HR and absolutely talk about this. These are my 2 bits on this.
Right. Smitha?
Thanks, Shaileja. That was insightful. I have a slightly not different perspective, but I believe that work-life balance is a commonly used but an abused term. Yeah, it's not really followed in the literal sense. I think a woman's greatest struggle is balancing the responsibilities of family and work. And I think in my own way, there are a few tips or these pointers that I believe, and we kind of try and incorporate that at work. And these are very, very simple ones, right? And especially for women, I believe. One of the foremost things that comes to my mind is prioritizing the me time, right? I personally believe that self-care can greatly kind of improve your mood. I'm a working mother, so it took me a while to accept and know how important that me time is, how it adds to the overall happiness and productivity in a person, and not to feel guilty about the me time, right?
Yeah.
I think there is a perpetual, and I've been through it personally, so I don't know about the others, but I used to perpetually feel guilty when I used to have this me time, right? So I've realized the importance of how important that having that time is. I think self-care also is a very different aspect for everyone, right? For some it may mean self-care might mean eating healthy. For some it might be just getting enough sleep. For some it might be exercising. So it works differently for each one. For some it might be indulging or doing doing something that you love. But prioritizing me time is definitely one of the things. The other things the other thing that comes to the top of my mind is setting boundaries, right? As simple as it sounds, but as women we are multitaskers. It's very important for us to set these boundaries. And like Shaileja said, that it can be as simple as switching off from work at a certain time, right? I do that. I try and I leave work at around 7. I try and do a mobile detox every day, and unless it's really, really important, I kind of do not try and get work calls after 7 p.m. Simple things like even sometimes saying a no, right, and being okay about it. So setting boundaries, I believe, is one of the things. The other thing is taking time out for yourself. Taking that one day off once can work wonders, I believe, for your mental and your physical health. And this and me time are actually 2 different things, right? So you should not feel guilty about doing that. And I believe there's one more thing that I'd like to kind of sum this up with is because we are multitaskers, it's absolutely okay to kind of ask for help. It's natural to feel overwhelmed, stressed. Sometimes totally, I think we kind of get stuck and we feel that asking, for that help is not okay. Sometimes even venting it out, as simple as, venting your emotions out feels a lot easier. do it with a friend, do it with a colleague. I think that kind of really helps. So these are a few things that I believe personally as women we should kind of have to improve work-life balance. Very simple pointers, but they're more from an emotional or a behavioral perspective that I was kind of laying them down. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question for Shaileja and Colleen. If you could share with us the recent trends observed where we could try to justify the topic of discussion, women as agents of change for healthcare in India.
Colleen, you want to go first? I think you are master.
No, in fact, I want to let Asleen go first on this one.
Okay.
And I want to rest out on this question. So yeah, it's between you and Asleen now.
So I will support this, my answer with numbers. In India, the feminine technology, if I talk about the global that I'm talking about here, it's actually $60 billion, and it's gonna be by 2027. That's what we're talking about. So when I talk about this technology, it's called femtech technology, and this technology is actually taking care, right? Talking about the growing, the chronic diseases that women are, in these day-to-day life that we are actually witnessing, especially growing attention in terms of the reproductive, health and sexual, empowerment in terms of, there are 200 global startup companies that are led partially by women. I think that is where the women is actually playing a very critical role in, leading, not only developing AI-based technology for themselves, but also creating a future for tomorrow for a women to join in. So I think that is something which is very important when I see a trend in terms of, a femtech technology that we all are talking about here. Is, these trends may lead to, somewhere a menstruation kit, a pregnancy kit. All these things are, there are these days a band which is coming in, in support of, even checking out your fetus, how healthy it is and how are you working towards it. So I think all these technologies, when you see, right from when I was born, only health I could see is, maintaining my menstruation hygiene. But now at that age, when you talk about all these factors very openly in the organization, and you're actually, connecting all these hygiene factors into AI, which supports your data, which supports your healthcare, and it is also personalized in terms of, how you as an individual would require at, one stage of life. So I think that is something which I have seen a paradigm shift in terms of, taking care of, the healthcare, as in changing the dynamics from, 90s eras to today we are talking about 2022. Yeah. So I think that is something which I would like to highlight here.
Right.
Yeah.
Just to add a little bit, the technological and data breakthrough has seen a lot of growth in many industries, right? So it's not only healthcare, but it's across, whether it is, as simple as our industry, which is content. When it comes to metaverse experience or 3D billboards, but when I specifically talk about healthcare and I look at how wearable gadgets are transforming healthcare as a space, so I started wearing Fitbit early last year, and I was fascinated by the product before that, but once I started wearing it, it's interesting because like what you were saying, right, it's throwing a lot of data which technically your mind will not really comprehend, or just pop up. Those thoughts won't pop up from the time when I'm going to bed to the time it's calculating how much deep sleep is happening, how many times I'm waking up, the different parts of my exercise, whether it's walking, cardio, fat burn, all of those stats are all available for last 1 year. And when I'm going to a doctor, let's say, I carry that data with me. So, the doctor has all the more insights in terms of the kind of treatment they want to put me on. So just from this insights that how technology and this breakthrough is really helping in healthcare, I think it'll be massive. How women can take a lead in this is see, women are in leadership positions everywhere, right? And I think this, some of my friends are in the healthcare industry and they are in leadership positions. And I think their insights of life is adding to any product enhancement with the companies going through, right? Because any product enhancement which happens, a lot of insights are collected from the consumer. A lot of qualitative, quantitative research is done. So I think women have a lot of role to play, absolutely. But yeah, I'm personally very, very fascinated with technological advancement. More so the way it's happened in the last 2 years in our lives. Everything is technology now. I mean, look at the fact that we are 6, 7, 8 of us interacting and 30, 40 people are sitting on the side and watching us. There you go.
Right. Okay, our next question is for Preksha. If you could point out an issue of gender stereotype which prevent women from voicing out their health problems. So as a woman leader and professional, what has been your experience in careers and how do you build a conducive culture to solve this?
There are one thing that we all have faced at some point, that women are expected to keep quiet. It's not that, like, probably today where you work, that's not the culture, but there are two sides to it. Either your family or your extended family or your society has created that quiet person, a quiet female who cannot voice her problems, her opinions, and like, God forbid she does that, she'll get a slap from her father or someone elder. And there is another culture where the family has been very progressive, like my family, father and army. So very promoting independence, and they want their daughter to be, to touch the height, do everything she wants to do. But then you are in a culture, in a professional culture where people do not want you to speak. So that gives you a sense, a diminished sense of yourself, where you think you are not important. You think your problems are not important. If you're having a headache, you're thinking like, if I say I have a headache before this meeting, they will check me out of the meeting. Or they will say, if I step out of this meeting, they will say, okay, next meeting she has a headache, let's not call her. So if it were a man, he'll be like, okay, I'm having a headache, I'm just gonna go for a walk, come back and do this, or like, I'm gonna take today off. And I initially felt that this has been happening very often. People are not talking to me, but talking to a male counterpart. They are not willing to do business with me, and this was like 10 years back. And today, what I see often in the people that I hire is that sometimes you come from a very, protective family where you have been told not to speak up. You have been told to, keep it to yourself kind of situation. And we do our best to make them feel comfortable, make them feel like they have a voice, make them feel like their opinion matters. And this is just, we are talking about general communication, general needs that you have. We are not even talking about the health issues that they might be facing. That's something that you cannot discuss with your colleague. If you're looking for a female, or you can only discuss with your boss who's a female, I think that's a bad culture. That's a bad education environment that you were in, that you could not talk about difficulties you are having with whoever is near you, who you need help from. That being said, the other issue I think is about for a single female to have offspring of her own. That is more, there are very few stories where you are being able to adopt single mothers, single fathers. But then in India especially, if I decide to have a child on my own, it will be a problem. I'll be looked down upon from my own family, from my own society, from my own colleagues probably. Now, this is the societal pressure that I have, but also do I have options medically? Do I financially? Do I have those options that I can try these things out? Women today, they marry a little late. So they want to, there should be an option to be able to go and just, have a health checkup to understand what their right time to, plan a family, either alone or with someone. I think these are things that we are yet to come to, but as a single founder who has a well past marriage age. I would like these answers today so that my team or people that I'm interacting with, I can tell them that don't worry about it. Focus on what you want to focus on.
Right. Okay, our next question is for Shaileja and Preksha. How has mental health been a priority post-pandemic, and how, especially as a woman, are you coping with it?
Very interesting topic. See, mental health been a topic not only during pandemic, right? For the longest time in the last 10 years, we have been seeing a lot of things which have happened in the space of mental health. And how many times have we been asked this question, right? How are you? And how many times have we answered this question that I'm fine, thank you, but deep inside we haven't felt okay on a particular day, right? We felt opposite. As we utter those words that I'm okay, maybe I'm fine, but in your heart, right, there's something is wrong. Something somewhere at an emotional level, at a feeling level, things are stuck. You're in a bubble. You're not able to come out of it. So the question is, I asked myself last year in January was that I have invested 2 decades in mind management, being a mindfulness trainer, teaching in so many places. Now that I'm stuck in the house and I have all these tools and techniques, how can I really help people, right? How can I give all this knowledge which I have sitting in the house? I started a YouTube channel. I just started posting videos every week, just random topics on how to manage anxiety, stress, breath work, mindfulness, mindful living, morning tips, evening, afternoon. And by the time I realized, I had 100, 200 videos and I was uploading, people were interacting from different parts of the country and the world, in fact. Then I rolled out another podcast called Everyday Guide with Shailja Saraswati. Again, it was just purely coming from the fact that, during pandemic, mental health and its impact has been felt by all of us. And it was my very small effort in terms of helping people understand that there are tips, there are tools, there are techniques which we can tap into at our end before we need to go to a counselor, or we are not able to discuss with our family members, or we feel shy to go and discuss things with our friends, or we don't have a 3 a.m. or 5 a.m. Friend to call upon, right? So, but coming back to the topic of mental health, I think huge leaps and bounds have been covered in the last 1 decade. A lot of things have happened. Look at the film stars, celebrities, sportsmen, Olympians who've come out in the open and talked about their mental issues. Last Olympics, we had Naomi Osaka come out with it, right? So it's not like it's something new. It's out in the open. Whether it is Deepika Padukone talking about it, I think these are things which bring things which are to do with mental illness or mental health under spotlight. More of these things should happen. And all I can say is I'm very glad that, the one area which was really put under the carpet and where you had to put on a smile and say, I'm okay. But deep inside, that you're feeling really horrible. Then in this pandemic, you have the guts to say, yes, things are wrong. People have come out in the open, my colleagues in my office, the number of people who have spoken about the anxieties which they've gone through, the stresses which they've gone through, and how they don't have coping tools and mechanism, and also this entire resignation, revolution which has happened where people just want work-life balance. They are resigning from very good corporate jobs just because they realize that they don't want to burn out. 12, 14 hours of work is not the life which they want to lead. And the number of attrition rate, that's another topic, another day again. The high attrition rate companies are facing is because we need more of Onsurity kind of brands looking into holistic healthcare. And I'm doing this plug-in, Colleen, but I really feel that, it's not about just a hygiene check anymore, insurance and healthcare. It has to be holistic. It has to impact my social life, my personal life, my emotional life, and the brand has to talk to me at a very, at a very soul level, at a spirit level, right? And that then only health can revolutionize. Then health can become a culture in an organization. So just going back to pandemic, mental health, awesome, because this has come out more in the open. And I think now it's got that center stage. It is just going to benefit a lot more. And hats off to all the practitioners and all the people who are working in this field, because a lot more of you are required out there right now. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm just butting in here. And Shaileja, actually, that point of yours caught my attention where I think therapy or going to a counselor is something that as a culture in India, I think we just didn't believe for a very long time, or rather I'd say even now there is a lot of resistance to this whole idea of seeing a counselor or
so right, people would go do yoga but they will not go to a counselor.
Yeah, and they believe that there is something majorly wrong, and I think that we're kind of seeing that shift now of that acceptance of going to a therapist or going to a counselor is normal, right?
Yeah, I think the closest a lot of people have come to counseling is Vipassana. And I'm sure like it's one kind of meditation that has helped a lot of people. But if you have recognized a problem that you are unable to solve, you do not need a generic, some meditation that is focused on balancing the entire mental health thing. But you want one single issue addressed, and probably therapist is more equipped to handle that. Now, I think one of the things that I realized that over pandemic, we got more vocal about mental health because we were not going out, we were not getting into accidents or having any major health issues because you were in protective environment, right? So now the smaller things that you felt I can ignore earlier took center stage, as rightly mentioned by you too. That happened, and while that happened, we as a team, Alphaa.AI, we saw that there are a lot of people who were very worried about their jobs, who lost their jobs, who thought that we don't know what to do further. They're college students, they're like, I don't know what to do. There are no campus placement. We did not get placed, or like we got placed, they did not call upon us. We could not join, and this and that. And we started a small initiative called Citizen Data Scientist Program 2 years back in 2020 itself, where we said that whoever wants to learn about data science can just join our live sessions, do that. And there are people, these people were, some middle management, higher management, and some of the students and some fresh professionals who were joining these events. And they learned about data science a little bit here and there, a lot of things, and they connected to each other. Some of them got jobs, some of them got promoted, some of them got confident about which career they want to do. And we still today run that program. It was just about providing a little bit of direction, a little bit of mental peace that, okay, fine, your career is okay. It's going to be fine. If you think that I am deviating, this is the path you can pick. And that's what we did. But when we came back to work, this is like one of the initiatives. It does not solve mental health. It will just solve a little bit of fear that you had towards securing your career. That's there. But we realized that if someone is sad because they have anxiety because something went wrong in their relationship, something is wrong at home, a number of things can happen, right? If you're not feeling up to it, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling that like you need a sleep, you probably should take that. Because if you are not happy, you will keep dragging that for a week. It's bad for me, it's bad for you. You're further going down the abyss where you won't find how to come back from. Because of course, like some point we have gone through heartbreak and we want that to be healed for everyone else too.
Right. Okay, here's a common question for all our speakers. Is work and family life balance an unavoidable obstacle for many Indian women to avoid having a professional life?
She seems to be newly married. She should answer that.
So yes, as initially I shared the data. There are 11.5 million women. They have resigned and they lost their job during pandemic. And it is because of the, unpaired care and burden and responsibilities toward, home. I think that is, and trust me, work-life balance is just a myth. No amount of, opportunities and, activities can help women, seize the opportunity. When I see my husband sleeping and I'm cooking, I feel why this disparity, right? God
order food.
we got food picture. So yeah, so the idea here is, maintaining work-life balance, and for women it is not 5 minutes walk or 10 minutes. It's actually seizing the equal opportunity at home. That's what I believe in. And I think that is something where, family support. So when I say it's a Women's Day, we are celebrating women in you. But when I say it, I say that, even my husband is there to support me. That's why I'm sitting here, right? And that's the reason it is not only, I'm not only helping him financially, but also as a social acceptance. And also, so in a way, we both are supporting each other. But the only thing is where work-life balance, I really want even men to realize that how hard it is for a woman to, work in office, and as well as, drive in this insane traffic and go back and then again cook and do all the household chores responsibilities. So I think this work-life balance is somewhere detoxifying is very important. I think that is something which is, and the family support in terms of women working and ensuring that, she's being given as equal as opportunity as a guy, and, in the family is being given. So I think that where offices doesn't, play much role here in terms of, giving an opportunity. They do give me an equal opportunity. They do give me an equal pay. But when it comes to an additional responsibility, where I believe there has to be a little plug-in in terms of men taking over. That's
Right,
That's
right.
the cultural shift you're talking about. That's the cultural shift you're talking about.
My father-in-law said, I should look very different because मैं लड़के का बाप हूँ. I said, I believe two individuals are getting married, right? That's a
I'll give you something like that.
Can I go next? I'm very tempted.
Yes.
Just wanting to add something on the father-in-law part. That's still extended family, okay? Like now when I go home, my father is a completely changed woman who is not willing to do anything. And he feels like, okay, I made you so independent and I gave you opportunities, but you actually forgot your culture. Culture being that I am doing chores that a girl is supposed to do. It is not being disrespectful. It is just that other things took priority, and for him it was a major, change or challenge. I don't know what to call.
Okay.
Colleen, adding something here, I guess.
Yeah, no, just while you were talking, I think what I was thinking is that we tend to compartmentalize our life, right? I mean, technically, it's only one life. One is our family is part of it. We are part of it. Then our profession is part of it. What we do something with community is part of it. Social part of our life. Friends, right? Socializing and all of that. But if you see, there is only one Shailja in all these compartments. And the point when I stop feeding that mojo of that Shailja, what will Shailja be very happy throughout her life? What is that one mojo which drives her? For me, let's say it was catharsis through writing or through expression in creating content, and I kept the flame burning, right, in that case for 20 years, 30 years, in some form or the other, whether it was a written blog or video blog or whatever it is. It gives me satisfaction when I'm doing catharsis, right, when I'm expressing. That brings me freedom. And it is for me to drive that agenda. It's not for my husband to drive that agenda for me, or anybody in office to drive that agenda for me. I am one person. I have all these parts of my life. I don't want to compartmentalize. But how am I driving that mojo? How am I keeping it alive? It's my responsibility, right? And when I'm saying my family versus office balance, yeah, I mean, I think that balance word, like I told you, it has to stand on the core, and that core is the mojo I'm talking about. Essentially, it could be something else for Preksha, it could be something else for someone, but we need to know as women, what is it? But the moment we get married, the moment we have our first child or the second child, we drop that mojo like a hot brick. oh, because we have this child and now to abhi, 5 years is all like invested. No, why don't you keep the flame burning along with it? What is stopping us? Or the second child, or the first company, or the second company. So it is to do with us. These are the stereotypes or the mind maps which it's been created over generations, right? Which we have imbibed, which we need to now cut off and break away from. And sorry, I'm just plugging in my second podcast is The Unstoppable Women, which I started last year in October, just because to break the stereotype. And we've launched season 2 of Unstoppable Women today with Anupama Chopra. Where I interview women on, in this podcast, and we just talk about, create the safe space to talk about how women, can break this stereotype, continue to drive inspiration from their mojo, and do fantastic stuff, and if you listen to the podcast, very inspiring stories and guests are there. So yeah, so that's my 2 bits on this.
Smitha, you want to add?
Yes. So talking about work-life balance as an obstacle for Indian women, I'm going to answer this question in 2 parts. I believe that India is divided, in urban, and the other part is your semi-urban or your rural. Urban part, I believe we've progressed fairly, where enough opportunities are available. We are breaking the shattering the glass ceiling. Female entrepreneurs are making decisions. They're probably calling the shots at home as well as work. COVID also, I believe, has brought a lot of boost to the home entrepreneurs. But on the other side, if I look at the semi-urban or the rural side of it, I think it still needs far more exposure, far more awareness, opportunities. I think women are still aren't very comfortable to kind of come out in the open. And like Asleen said, I think family support and awareness is the key here. I also believe that somewhere Make in India has played a very, very brilliant role here to empower women-based entrepreneurs. So I think we're getting there, but we're going to take some time if I look at answering it from that perspective.
Right. Preksha, you want to add?
I think I have taken my chance already.
Okay, nothing. Colleen?
Yeah, I think, we'll disagree with a few people out here, but, I think the power has always been in the women's hand. And, yes, this can sound like a very, अरे तुम्हें क्या पता तुम तो women नहीं हो करके.
Yeah, on the other team.
Yes. But and by the way, that's the reason why I participated in this, to get the men's perspective on Women's Day. So, to be honest, I think, I think rules of engagement, right, is most important. Every person, be it a man or woman, right, needs to define, what is it that is they define as work-life balance, right? It's not as if, a man does not want to spend time at home. But is put under the pressure saying, you're a man, so you need to work long hours, right? I think we're going beyond those stereotypes. I think men want to spend a lot of time at home. To quote from a personal example, during the entire lockdown, we were able to kind of distribute our chores, and I was, BJP, that is Batan, Jadhav and Posha was done by me. And I'm very proud of that, because, that was my forte and I could do that, and I took all my calls during that time, right? At the same time, my spouse decided to kind of, my wife decided to ensure that she wanted to, pursue her interest in cooking. And on this panel, I'm definitely going to say it was very nice food that I had, and that has led to a lot of other issues on the fitness side. But absolutely, I think rules of engagement. I think if once we start putting that, I don't think we see it as a work-life balance issue or an obstacle. I think we should be able to say what are we passionate about and where is it that we want to spend more time. And I think that should be the starting point in any kind of be it a professional journey or not. And to be honest, given an option, I would rather be a homemaker than a founder right now. And take that.
Listening to this.
I'd rather do that, but yeah, but I think that's going to be my next job is going to be a homemaker after being the founder at Onsurity. But I think we need to come up beyond these stereotypes. We need to kind of say that everyone's equal, and once we start believing in that, I think these kind of questions will possibly not come up. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on this.
Thank you. That was a very enlightening discussion. We've got very wonderful inputs from each of you, and I totally feel that we should keep the flame burning no matter what. And in the end, I feel that envisioning a world where women are dynamic, active individuals and agents of change means planning a change for the better. It just doesn't happen overnight. It's a constant process with all the effort of all the female leaders and others who are interested in the cause involved. So it's a process of constant learning and unlearning, questioning and reflecting, a lifelong journey, we could say, and a way of looking clear-eyed at the world as it should be. And it's not just imagining, but making changes of all kinds. So as it came out clearly in the discussion that with a greater focus on health and wellness, we could certainly pave the way for a healthier and safer world. Thank you. Thanks to all of our speakers.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thanks, Colleen, for this opportunity.
Yes, I just want to thank all of you for making out the time. Preksha, I know you need to leave, so I'll keep this short. But thank you for taking out the time and coming on this panel and sharing your views. At least on my end, I think I've learned a lot in terms of how we should build the culture of healthcare right at a larger level. And I'm sure that we all can collaborate in the future also to kind of create a more healthier workforce and a happier workforce. So thank you everyone out here, and wishing all of you again a very happy International Women's Day.
Thank you, Asmi, for joining us.
Happy Women's Day, everyone.
Thank you.
yeah.